What's up, everybody? What's good? Welcome to Week 12 of the PrepZone Football Preview. That's Dan Young. That's David Mitchell. I'm Jack Patterson. And we are full-blown playoffs everywhere around the Chattahoochee Valley this week.
A lot of games. A lot of games.
We have papers.
A lot of games.
They say things.
Papers on papers.
Teams are everywhere.
Teams are everywhere. Yeah, so we're going to do some quick hits, try to get through as many of these playoff matchups as we can. We'll start with the Region 1 5A champion Carver Tigers. They'll be hosting Drew at Memorial Stadium Friday night.
Get that 1 seed. I mean, that was huge. Last year they got the 2 instead of the 1, and it cost them. They played a Jones County team that turns out they're not such a bad football team.
Don't count it good.
Pretty good football team.
Another major difference from last year to this year, they have
yeah. So Carver getting that 1 seed is going to be huge. Get the 4 seed out of Region 4, which is Drew, and it's a good thing because the other 3 teams in Region 4 loaded 10-0, 9-1, 9-1. So Carver did its job there.
We've said Carver has played their best football in the last couple of years within about the last 5 weeks. I think it really helps. I think that Carver wins this game. I don't know if it's going to be easy. Carver sometimes doesn't make things look too easy, but they're the better team, and getting the 1 seed was
should win that game.
Yeah. Definitely. Let's go to our second game. Manchester, the Blue Devils. Number 2 seed out of Region 5 AA. They're surprising a lot of people.
Did we expect this coming into the year? I mean, 3-7 last year. You know, we thought maybe lose your head coach late. We thought maybe, you know, they might be better. They had some folks coming over from Bowden fame. I mean, they had a lot of success over there. So, but hey, they turned them right around, 7-3 this year. They're a good football team.
It's already a victory for them as a season to host a playoff game. If they win that playoff game, which I think they have a good chance to do, it keeps on going.
Anthony Bell's really been the bell cow.
No, Anthony Bell cow.
I see what you did.
Yeah, so that was completely not intended, but worked out that way. So he's going to be the one to carry the load for him.
Carry the bell cow.
We'll see how they do this week against Washington Wilkes. That's their opponent. Third game on deck is the Callaway Cavaliers, and I think the big story for them is redemption after last year's heartbreaking region championship loss in Callaway Stadium against Central Carroll. They go to Carrollton. They beat Central Carroll. They are the Region 5 3A's champions. They will play Hart County at Callaway Stadium Friday night.
And what's interesting about Callaway, they're doing this the second half of the season without their best player, Braylon Sanders. He has not been playing, but Cedric Maynard, my gosh.
He's one of the top rushers in the entire state, if not the top rusher in the entire state right
now. Let's give a shout out to Tyree Frazier, man.
Yeah.
He's come out of nowhere, and he's been, it's like almost him and Maynard have been 1-2 punch over the last couple of weeks.
They find the playmakers in Callaway. I don't know where they're getting them from, but you would think after losing to Terry Godwin and then losing Braylon Sanders, who could be the next Terry Godwin, they're going to suffer a little bit. And
they may have looked better.
They're a better team this year than they were last year.
Hey, sometimes when you lose the one guy that everybody has to rely on, everybody else kind of
There's a chance that they make a deep run. I want to say, I don't want to put pressure on them and say, hey, Callaway can win state. There's a chance they're making a deep run.
I was just going to say, watch out for the Cavaliers. I think
they look good.
There's no Buford this year.
Great team.
Go number 4, and is the Northside Patriots hosting their first ever playoff game in school history at Connect Stadium, and their opponents will be Stars Mill.
Why are you looking at me like that,
Stars
Jack?
Millionaires.
Stars Millionaires. And you know doggone well why I'm looking at you.
Yes, I did go to school there.
Full
disclosure, I did go to school there, which all that really does is allow me to get some more information on them so I can bring it to these folks. Stars Mill, good football team, 9-1. A team that went to the Dome about, I think it was 5 or 6 years ago, and haven't really done a whole lot since then. Got a good group of guys. They run the wing tee, and it's going to be assignment football for Northside. Rico Fry is their running back. It's going to
be a fast game then with all that running.
Oh, there's going to be a lot of running. There's going to be a lot of running in this game. A lot of keeping the ball on the ground. So, you know, it's kind of what we said about Carver getting that 1 seed. Stars Mill's not. Rarely do you see a 3 seed with a 9-1 record. Yeah. So it's
I'll be honest, the
no
last
easy.
time I've seen one out of any team, any schools or teams that had to play in our area, you have to date back like 10 years ago when we had that year where Carver, LaGrange, and Shaw all were really stacked at the top of the region, and Shaw ended up being the 3 seed.
Yeah. Northside should still be, I think, favored in this game simply because it's got the home field, but it's not going to be an easy game for them.
I'll say this about Northside: they've competed with everyone they play. I can't remember a time this year where I thought Northside was just completely outmatched.
Yeah,
that's enough to say that they can compete with teams, pretty much anybody.
And here's the thing too about both of these teams: Northside runs the ball, Stars Mill runs the ball. Neither team pass it a lot. Which team passes it better might make a difference, because if one team gets the lead, there's a good chance that team might be able to hold the lead if if they can convert some passes. And Levi Dunn's done a good job efficient.
So get an early lead Northside. That will help.
Yes. Staying in 1-5A.
Full disclosure.
Full disclosure, I am a Shaw graduate, for those of you who didn't already know that, after the Shaw Northside game from a few months back. But the Shaw Raiders are going to Northgate for a rematch, and the first match was not pretty earlier this year.
It was ugly, 45-0. I mean, there's not really any positives you can pull from a 45-0 game,
you think?
Except that Northgate shut out 3 other teams this year too. So Northgate is what movie is it? It's like The Matrix, where they realize that he's only human. You know, he's just a man. Northgate got knocked across the mouth pretty good against Stockbridge. Only scored 2 points, so they are human. They can be beat.
Stockbridge, on the other hand. We'll talk about that in a minute.
Shaw's going to have to be perfect in this game to beat Northgate.
We heard it from Chuck Stamey after the mini games on Monday. He said, we are better than what our record shows.
And they are.
And he said, we competed with everybody except for Northgate.
Yeah, and that's true. That's the only team that they just were not in the game. But if you clean up turnovers, because Shaw knows how to play football. They're not just,
Soundbite of the night, that was him saying we were good enough for 10 minutes.
That's all
what about the whole game?
That's all it took.
Can you please be good enough for 40 this time? For what? 44, 48, whatever.
The 4 seed of that mini game, Columbus and Stockbridge now.
Stockbridge, 1 or 2 teams to beat Central this year. That should tell you a lot.
Yeah, Stockbridge, I've seen them play the last couple of years. Really, really good football team. Imposing, big. They did what no team or few teams are able to do against Central, which is match them step for step defensively and kind of hit them in the mouth a little bit.
Yeah.
And Stockbridge has 2 defensive ends that are going to be playing on Saturdays, either next year or 2 years from now. One of them's playing at Ole Miss. They know how to play defense, and it ain't going to be easy for Columbus.
I look at it this way: when you have defensive ends like that, when Columbus gets the ball on the snap in the backfield, they do a lot of lateral movement, where St. Bassie comes on the sweep, or they don't go north and south immediately. They do a lot of misdirection back there.
Those defensive ends are fast.
If your offensive line is not playing their best game of the season, that spells a lot of sacks and potential fumbles.
Yeah.
That's hard. I don't know. Do you change your game plan at all for Columbus, or do you just do what you've done?
I think you do what you've done, and you hope to do it well.
I say this for Shaw and Columbus. Nobody, people are doubting you to make the playoffs. Go for broke, man.
Yeah. I'll say this.
Throw the entire playbook. You have nothing to lose.
It reminds me of last year when it was Northside against Northside Warner Robins.
Sure.
Or LaGrange against Houston County. Just go for it.
Yeah.
Go for broke.
If you end up getting beat by 60, that's the same as getting beat by 1 in the playoffs.
Yeah, exactly. A loss is a loss. And we got to say, congrats to Columbus for getting there. It was not easy, but 7-3. It was a big deal for them to get in.
That Monday night was fun. The celebrations were great. I know you're going to run video over this to show the Gatorade bath and everything. It was awesome.
Yeah,
so
it was
great.
fun.
All right, so we'll go next. GICAA. Calvary Christian in the state semifinals against Creekside. And didn't these guys just play like 2 weeks ago?
They played last week, actually.
Oh, even better.
And Calvary won on the road, so now they come home to get to beat them again and go back to the state championship.
Yeah, that's the plan at least. They beat them 24-6 last week, and what I noticed though, and I talked with Brian Osborne about it, is 24 points. Calvary's used to getting 40 to 45, so Creekside Christian, good defense, or a serviceable defense, enough to kind of slow Calvary down. So Calvary will try to have a little bit more success and kind of put the game away early.
I think Calvary will win by more.
Is the goal. We got one more quick hit that we didn't have on our list here.
We haven't gotten to it yet.
We'll get there in a minute. First of all, we've got Eufaula and Beauregard in separate games.
It's not on the list though.
Which but I hadn't even gotten. Y'all, we're skipping all over the place because I think we skipped one completely, and that would be Spencer going on.
That's
the road
what
to
I'm.
Washington
That's the one I'm
County.
talking about. That's the one
How
I'm
about
talking
the
about.
Green Wave going back to the playoffs?
Speaking of teams making the playoffs for the first time in a long time, 93. We addressed it all last week. First time since 93, first winning season since 77. And the reward is to play a program that's typically pretty good.
Yeah, historically awesome. Their reward is going to play at a stadium called the House of Pain, and it is called that for a reason.
I'll say this though.
I give
Spencer's got a chance.
Spencer's got a really good chance.
Oh yeah, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I'm not.
When
I'm
you've
not
beaten,
saying that they can't win, but
when you've beaten two top 10 teams this year, Westside Macon and Jackson, I mean, you're obviously a team that can contend with the best teams in the state.
And you know how I told you Diallo Burks and LaGrange got swag?
so does Pierre Coffee.
Pierre Coffee got some swag. And it shows. We seen you, Pierre. Retweet this.
He'll retweet. Just tweet it at him. He'll retweet it.
Yeah.
So yeah. Spencer defensively, they've done a great job. So that's going to be their key to keep them in this game and maybe get out of here with a win.
One of the hard things to do when you get to playoff times like this is the travel. I mean, they've traveled to Macon. This is even a little bit further, going on to Sandersville. How do teams handle that? In Alabama, it's like if you go to Mobile, it's just really hard to mentally focus on such a long trip. Same thing happens in Georgia, too, when you have those trips. So I think it comes down to a lot of the coaching. Spencer has not been here. These players have not been in this situation.
The good thing for Spencer, Pierre Coffey comes from a program that has been there.
Right.
Multiple times. Former assistant at Carver, coached under Dale McGee, coached with Joe Kegler. So he's been there. He knows how to get this team ready.
Perfect leader for this situation.
Yeah,
Exactly. All right, now we'll cross the bridge over to Alabama, and we'll kind of tag team on this one. Beauregard hosting Helena, Eufaula on the road, and Jackson. The reason why we pair these two together, because if both of these teams win, which they both have a pretty decent chance to, we're talking about a Eufaula Beauregard state quarterfinal outside Opelika next week.
Beauregard's still undefeated. I was at their first playoff game last week. Got off to a little bit of a slow start for Beauregard, but I mean, by the time the second half got there, they did what Beauregard's been doing, and they blew out.
Blowing everybody out.
Beauregard, get a Beauregard. Can we say that?
You can if you want to. Quay won't play. I know that. Quite right. By the way, our WRBL Team of the Week, headquarter Nissan Team of the Week, the Beauregard Hornets.
All right.
So we'll see that. You can probably click over to the sports page right now and see it by the time this gets posted.
Probably.
So thank you, Carlos Williams. I think the Eufaula-Jackson game is very interesting. Eufaula has not been blown out by anybody either. And in fact, Eufaula has won most everything other than that Greenville game.
Which was a 4-point loss.
Right. So Eufaula, being a 2 seed in a region where your only loss was to an undefeated Greenville by 4 points, and that's a really dangerous 2 seed. So I think not only does Eufaula have a good chance against Jackson, I think Eufaula would have a good chance against Beauregard as well. And that's saying something because I think Beauregard's awesome. I know we're kind of looking ahead of that a little bit. We just want that to happen.
I desperately want that.
We want Eufaula to be at Beauregard next week.
I'm so wanting that to
Which sets up our next one, too, because we kind of want that one to happen, too.
Yeah.
That would be Auburn going down to Mobile to play McGill, Tulane, and these two have history. 2013 state semifinals, please.
Which Auburn did win. Blaze Taylor had a great game in that one. Tim Carter leading Auburn to that win and going to the state championship where they eventually lost to Hoover. I'll say this about Auburn. They have a knack. I don't know how this happens because it's the program more than it's the coaches because they've had a coaching change with Adam Weingarten coming in. They get better as the season goes on, better than any team I've seen every year.
It's unexplainable.
At the beginning of the year, they were very unorganized. It didn't seem like the players had completely bought into the new philosophy.
Kind of to be expected,
right?
A little bit, especially when you lose a coach that has had so much success before him. You know, it's understandable.
But now it seems like everything that Adam Weingarten is doing is working.
And what I saw when they played Central earlier this year, and I haven't seen them since, but I assume similar things have happened. I know they had that free kick field goal that's 61-yarder. Things that they do things that are fun.
Yeah.
Kind of reminds me of LSU and Les Miles. Like what a great person to play for because you're going to go out there. You're going to do an onside kick. You're going to you're going to go out there and take a chance and throw
invoke a
caution
rule
to
we
the
didn't know
winds.
existed.
Yeah,
exactly.
So they're having a lot of fun, it seems like, and it shows with their success.
If you remember from that Central game, their offensive line is incredibly imposing, probably more so than any team that in our area. And I think that could be their cash cow to win, not only because of their running game that has been improving, and I think they're using a sophomore now for half of their running attack, which is impressive at this point in the season. I guess at this point you're not a sophomore anymore; you're playing like a junior. But it also gives Bradley Northcutt time.
Yeah.
Which, if he has time, that gets really dangerous both with his feet and with his arm.
Yep.
And I don't know a whole lot about McGill-Tulane other than it's a very good program and a very good football team, and they are used to being in this situation.
I know a couple of years ago their passing attack was what they leaned on, which is, if you have a good one in high school, that can take you a long way.
Oh, yeah.
They do play like an annoying buzzing sound every time they do something special over the loudspeaker.
Cool.
It's awful.
That's not cool.
So, Mobile people, I hope you see this, because I'm calling you out. Change that and don't have it. Play
Are they like the Yellow Jackets or something?
Yeah, they are.
Okay.
Oh, no.
Play like a harp or something. It'd be more peaceful.
Schools like that just drive me.
If Auburn wins, most likely we agree, they're coming to Garrett Harrison Stadium.
We say most likely. Let's talk a little bit about that game first before we say.
We got ourselves another rematch.
Totally.
And this one might be a little interesting.
Lee is.
Would we say that Lee is the biggest surprise that we've seen in the playoffs?
There's certainly a big surprise.
As Gus Johnson would say, the slipper still fits.
But if you had asked, in fact, one of the Central folks told me last week, not one of the coaches, one of the program
leaders,
guys around the program, told me, he said, I hope Lee doesn't win this week. Don't want to play Lee
Playing
again.
well.
They're playing well. Always tough to play a team twice. We saw that last year, Prattville. Of course, Lee is not Prattville, but Lee did beat Prattville this year. So
and beat him handily.
Lee's offense is very, very good offense, and Central saw that even the first time they played him.
That was a 39-20 game.
Lee had some success in that game offensively, and they've improved since then. So this is no gimme for Central, but we do agree. Most likely, Central is the favorite.
We would also agree that Central has an easier game with Lee than Auburn does with McGill. You're at home, you're against a team that you've seen.
Being at home, yeah.
Instead of having to go to Mobile 3 hours.
Yeah.
That's not to say it's an easy game.
On the same flip side, though, Lee has also seen Central. So, that it kind of cancels itself out. But
good point.
Although I feel like Lee is playing like a different team than when Central saw them.
Exactly.
Especially offensively.
Right.
I think they've turned it up pretty much since that game.
Yeah, and Central's playing probably better now than it did at that, but especially offensively. Even though they scored 39 points in that game, they were still trying to figure out how to work with a new quarterback.
Yeah.
Now the running game's working a little bit better. Jackson Carson's doing a great job. And my gosh, there might not be a better player in Alabama than Justin Ross.
Yeah.
So he might be, it's only a sophomore. Don't let me inflate your head too big,
Coaches.
Justin. But
chill out for a couple of years.
But he's something else. He's a really good player.
It is interesting to realize that Central is potentially 2 rematch wins away from going to the state championship.
Yeah.
And for people that think that, Auburn and the 2 seed, they kind of backed into it a little bit when some stuff below them didn't go well. They went to the
They're playing
season.
good football right now.
I don't think Auburn backed into it.
What I'm saying is they had to play later into the season to get at that point. Central had locked things up pretty quickly.
Pretty early, yeah.
So what I see with Auburn is they almost beat Opelika, who I think is the best team in our area, because Opelika did beat Central. They almost beat Central already too, with the biggest weapon in the playoffs that is not like a marquee name or Sage Ledbetter. I get marquee position is probably the way to go, between his onside kicks, his long field goals, the little free kick thing that we didn't know existed. Sage Ledbetter is awesome.
Dude, dude kicked it. It would have been good from about 66.
So if we can get that matchup next week, it's kind of a big deal.
You think?
So I don't know that Central wants it, but we do.
We do.
So.
Be fun to watch.
Well, and the interesting thing, and we'll talk more about it if it happens next week, is Central dominated that game, but still nearly lost it.
Yeah.
So that's the really interesting thing. But we'll get, as I said last week, we'll cross that bridge.
We'll both be essential for the league game.
Yeah.
And that leads us into our WRBL tailgate game of the week.
Friday night tailgate game of the week, it will be the Opelika Bulldogs going against Hillcrest out of Tuscaloosa in a rematch of a Week 0 game that ended sometime around 2 a.m. Central Time because of lightning delays and everything. Opelika won that game 34-20, and I think that might have been their, outside the Central game, that might have been their closest game of the season.
Auburn was closer.
Well,
than that.
I forget Auburn, excuse me.
But still, they didn't have a region game that was that close.
Yeah.
That was early in the season for Opelika, and Brian Blackman told me before the year they were worried about their depth. I think Opelika, 1, has found more depth, and 2, they've avoided the injury bug, which is really crucial for them. I think Opelika, their first team, better than any team that we have. I think Central's defense is better. I think Opelika's offense is better. Jake Bentley, not only has he improved since week 1, he's the best quarterback I've covered in 4 years of high school football in this area.
I covered Deshaun Watson, so it's not a fair comparison for me.
It's not, but I'm telling you, Bentley has potential. He's not there yet to be the 4 or 5-star guy that goes and runs
We
Stanford
forget that he's still a junior.
Yeah. We have Bentley coming back next year. He's got experienced receivers.
I just wanted to brag about the fact that I saw Deshaun.
Tell us more about Deshaun
He was back
Watson.
when he was a sophomore. He was really good.
Harris County fans don't want to hear about Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, no, they know how good he is.
Opelika is the favorite in this game.
Oh, yeah.
For sure. The road is tough for Opelika to get to the state championship. We talked about that last week. If they can do it. Yeah, get through this, Jack.
So let's see. Potential matchup with Spanish Fort next week.
Which, by the way, would be a head coach matchup of brothers. Brian Blackman's brother, head coach of Spanish Fort.
And then if Opelika gets through that, and let's keep in mind that Spanish Fort is without their starting running back for reasons I don't rather not go through. You can
Some legal stuff. Check it out.
Yes, legal stuff. Go to the mobile stations for that. Let's see. After that, matchup with either Blunt, Bessemer City, who knocked off Park Crossing, Ben Russell, who Opelika had.
Ben Russell's a good team.
Ben Russell,
Shout out Alex City people that watch this.
Opelika struggled with Ben Russell in the first half of that game. I was at that game, and then Opelika pulled away in the second half, and McAdory. So you got a region champion, a team that knocked off a region champion, a region rival, and another team from a 2 seed out of the same region that doggone it. What region that is that?
Well, I'll tell you this.
I'll figure it out later.
Brian
Spanish
Blackman,
Force region.
I was comparing games last week of Central and Opelika first-round games because I thought that Central had a tougher first-round game than Opelika did. Brian Blackman disagreed with me, and he said Daphne was a tougher game. It didn't show.
Yeah. What did you say about Daphne last week?
Oh, my gosh. Well, Opelika beat Scooby-Doo, Daphne, Velma, the whole gang. I mean, it was bad. And if Opelika plays like they have the last 2 weeks against both Daphne and then Enterprise, I don't know if any team can beat them.
Yeah.
I think they're playing that good. They're the 1 seed and undefeated for a region. Undefeated, understanding that your out-of-region schedule included Auburn and Central.
Yeah, for what it's worth, AL.com put Opelika number 2 in the entire state.
Who's number 1 on that list?
For Clay Chalkville. For reference,
That's a big
who would they with me in the state championship? That's
for
why I
reference
said
on that list, though, Central was not in the top 25. So
which was incredibly crazy.
AL.com.
Take that for what it's worth.
Y'all click the WRBL.com and the Ledger.
Yeah, we'll have the real rankings.
Yeah, no.
My rankings is I want to see Opelika, Auburn, Central continue to play football. Because they're all great.
Well, that's not possible past next week.
Well, I want to see them get to next week. That's what I want.
Don't ruin his dream, Jack.
Thank you.
Well, I mean, next week could be a dream week because we could have Beauregard Eufaula, we could have Auburn Central, we could have Calvary playing for the state championship. We could have.
What do I always say though? We'll cross that bridge when we get to it.
You always say that?
I said it a bunch last week.
He does.
He probably means. Are you talking about the 13th Street Bridge?
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
We'll cross that bridge on Friday.
A lot of us.
Where are you going to be at on Friday?
As of right now, subject to change. As of right now, I will be at Calvary Christian and I will be at Connect Stadium for Northside's first ever home playoff game.
Big deal.
Big game for them.
And like we were saying earlier, Friday night tailgate game of the week is Hillcrest at Opelika. 5 or 6 o'clock newscast. Bob Jeswalt and Natalie Pellicetti will be out there at Bulldog Stadium. And Go out there, say hey to them. They have fun. They have a good time as always.
Opelika people turn out really well. That'll be fun.
Yeah, they do.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
That stadium's awesome.
That's fun.
That's a beautiful stadium.
It's pretty. That's like a college atmosphere.
It really is.
Garrett Harrison is too, by the way.
Yeah.
And the Duck.
Oh yeah.
Shout out to the Duck. Although it's no one's gonna be there because it'll be in Mobile.
Yeah.
Be on the road. But hey, maybe they could have like a watch party.
That'd be awesome.
Y'all
do
should
a watch
do that.
party in
Do
the
a
Duck
watch
and we'll
party.
come by.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, who you sending by there? Because it's not me. I'm in Columbus all night.
I go by there.
Oh yeah, you're.
I can see him at the Duck.
Yeah, you're a Central. You can do that.
Yeah.
Follow us on Twitter at Dan Young, at LE Prep Sports, at J Patterson TV. Follow the WRBL Sports account at WRBL Sports.
He's not going to put the graphic up there.
I might not.
Hey,
You don't know.
surprise me.
Don't tell him how to live his life.
Don't tell me how to edit this thing.
Hey, you got it like that, bro. You can do what you want.
You did that enough earlier this season.
That's true.
And I think that's going to just about do it for us.
Cool.
Guys.
Next week we add in Marion County.
Yes.
Yeah.
We added Marion
So
County.
we haven't forgotten about y'all. Y'all just don't play this week.
We'll add in Marion County, Pacelli,
Pacelli,
and Brookstone going to be on the road. But we'll cross that bridge when we get to it.
Man, what is the last 2 weeks, man? You and these bridge puns.
I'm doing it.
Hey,
I'm doing it
go
on
get him,
purpose.
Spencer. Go get him.
I'm telling you.
Give him a pep talk. Somebody give Spencer a pep talk.
Hey, man, I picked the guys to make the playoffs.
Give him a pep talk. Get out of here with a pep talk to Spencer.
Yeah, there you go. Pep talk.